The man aimed through the sniper scope, then gently turned the windage knob. Then the bullet instantly pierced the antelope's heart, but the wounded antelope still limped away. The man wasn't in a hurry. He was sure the antelope would drop 501 meters away. Following the antelope's blood trail, he closed in step by step. But suddenly, a new blood trail appeared to the southeast, crossing exactly with the antelope's trail, forming a strange triangle on the ground. The man didn't dare advance recklessly. He looked through his binoculars and saw an injured hound. The man was puzzled. He walked in the opposite direction of the hound. The Texas desert was desolate, but from where the man stood, he could see 5 cars parked haphazardly, and the area was littered with bodies. The man was curious. Then he pressed his Winchester 1897 shotgun to his waist. He moved forward carefully. The scene was horrific. Even the dogs didn't survive. Hearing a sound, he opened a car door. A dying Mexican man was gasping. He'd been shot in the stomach with chapped lips. Trembling, he begged for a drink of water. Llewellyn showed no emotion. He knew the man wouldn't last long. He turned and left decisively. Llewellyn found a large amount of drugs behind the cars. It was obvious now. It was a drug deal between 2 gangs. That turned into a shootout double cross. Everyone knows drugs mean cash, but Llewellyn found no money after searching for a long time. His hunter's instinct told him someone escaped and took the money, so he searched nearby. Sure enough, he saw a figure under a tree. Out of caution, Llewellyn didn't rush forward. He watched silently for 2 hours. Only when he was sure the man wasn't moving did Llewellyn slowly approach. The man under the tree was dead. A large case lay next to his left hand. He quickly took the man's gun for himself, then checked the case. It was full of $100 bills, roughly $2 million in cash. Even today, it was an astonishing fortune. That night, Llewellyn snuck home under cover of dark. Though he was a highly decorated veteran, he lived in a shabby rented house. It was clear he desperately needed the money, so Llewellyn would never let it go easily. Late at night, Llewellyn tossed and turned in bed. He suddenly thought of the Mexican man from earlier. Maybe it was a guilty conscience. He decided to bring water to the dying man.
What are you gonna do?
Fixing to do something dumber than hell, but I'm going anyways.
He returned to the shootout scene. Llewellyn parked his car nearby. When he got close to the man, he found the man had been shot in the head. Clearly, someone else had been there after him. He instinctively looked back. A pickup truck suddenly appeared heading his way. He panicked and ran, but legs were no match for a car. Cornered with nowhere to run, Llewellyn had to jump into the river. The men couldn't chase him anymore, so they released a hound. Llewellyn drifted down the fast current and soon vanished from sight. The hound kept chasing relentlessly, determined to catch its target. Once ashore, Llewellyn quickly pulled his pistol and reloaded fast. As the hound lunged, Llewellyn fired at the same time. Back home, Llewellyn told his wife everything, admitting he left his car at the scene. The dealers would trace the address, so his wife had to go to her mother's to hide. He would stay and face the dealers. When things calmed down, they could escape safely. The next day, Llewellyn put his wife on a bus to her mother's, then planned to find a nearby motel. He would stay and draw the dealers away, to keep himself and his wife safe. Meanwhile, a strange hitman arrived in town, but he was caught by police right away. The hitman's weapon was a compressed air tank, puzzling the officers. He was taken to the nearest police station. As an officer reported the case, the hitman snuck up behind him. No matter how the officer struggled, it was useless. The hitman squeezed with all his might, clearly intent on killing him. As scratches on the floor multiplied, the officer lost consciousness. The hitman's name was Anton. He wasn't a top boss in the business, but he was the most ruthless. After escaping the station, he stopped a car. Anton planned to kill a driver for a Ford. The innocent man was confused, unaware his life was ending. Anton's usual weapon was an air tank. It perfectly hid its danger and killed silently, hard for anyone to notice. Plus, Anton acted very polite.
What is that for?
Yeah. Would you hold still, please?
After hijacking a car, Anton stopped at a nearby gas station. The owner greeted him casually, but Anton grew angry. He asked why the owner spoke to him. Were they friends? The owner realized the danger. The man was either crazy or looking for trouble. To avoid trouble, the owner changed the subject, saying they were closing. Anton asked why they were closing. Because they didn't like him. Faced with Anton's questions, the awkward owner fell silent. The man looked ordinary, but his killing intent was suffocating. Then Anton pulled out a coin and told the owner to call heads or tails. The strange act terrified the man, unaware he was gambling his life. It wasn't a command, but refusal felt impossible. With no other choice, the owner guessed heads. Luckily, the owner won his life. Anton left disappointed. At the same time, Llewellyn checked into a motel. He needed to figure out how to escape and keep the money. He looked at the ceiling vent, then hid the case inside. After that, Llewellyn sprayed disinfectant on his injured foot and bought new shoes at a store. When he returned to the motel, it was nighttime. Llewellyn spotted a suspicious car outside. Realizing the dealers might have found him, out of caution, he told the driver to keep moving. Then he saw the room curtains were closed. Without hesitation, Llewellyn told the driver to leave. He would come back in the morning. Late at night, Anton arrived at the shootout scene. He was hired by the drug cartel to find the missing missing $2 million. He first took the license plate from Llewellyn's car, then found a tracker on the case. He could identify the owner from the plate, and used the tracker to finish the job. Mid-conversation, Anton suddenly drew his gun, and quickly killed the cartel's assistant. In his opinion, he could handle it alone. Others were just in the way. The next day, Anton found Llewellyn's address. He knocked politely first. When no one answered, he broke in. The house was quiet and empty, but there were letters by the door. One was a phone bill reminder, which would cause trouble later. Anton remained calm. He opened the fridge and took milk, then sat and thought about Llewellyn's moves. After a while, Anton went to the rental office to ask about Llewellyn, but the woman on duty refused to tell him.
Where does it work?
Did you not hear me? We can't give out no information.
Normally Anton would have killed her, but he had principles. Maybe because she stood her ground, she survived. Meanwhile, the town sheriff hunted Anton. He'd killed a cop, then a driver for a Ford. Soon, the sheriff got a tip and went to the shootout scene. He recognized Llewellyn's car right away. New bodies lay there from the night before. The only lead was Llewellyn. He rushed to Llewellyn's house. The sheriff saw the broken lock. He entered carefully. The house was empty. The sheriff knew the hitman had been there. He felt a surge of fear. The closer he got, the more he sensed death. The sheriff knew he was no match for the devil. At the same time, Llewellyn bought a rifle and 10 poles. The gun was for protection. But what were the poles for? Ready, he returned to the motel. Llewellyn asked for the floor plan. He'd booked room 138. Now he reserved room 38 opposite. The rooms seemed unrelated, but their vents connected. It showed. Llewellyn was extremely careful. Every move was unexpected, but under his control. He made a hook with the 10 poles to pull the money case back. Just then, Anton spotted a clue while driving. Following the tracker's signal, the target was in the motel. Anton stayed calm. He observed the area and located the case in room 138. He checked the floor plan at the front desk, then booked the nearest room, not to rest, but to plan a precise kill. He practiced breaking in, imagining threats, memorizing the layout, measuring wall thickness, calculating bullet penetration. Such a careful killer naturally scared the sheriff. Then, Anton took off his shoes and moved, holding the air tank in one hand, his weapon in the other. He burst into room 138, taking out the men inside instantly. They waited for Llewellyn, but met death instead. After killing the last man, Anton was annoyed with his employer. At least 2 teams were after the case, meaning the boss had no principles. He searched the room, found nothing useful. Looking up, Anton saw the vent was open. He used a coin to remove the cover. There were clear scratch marks. He realized he'd been outmaneuvered. The target was tough. Later, the cartel thought Anton was out of control, so they hired top hitman Carson, well known for his skill. But when told to face Anton too, Carson looked concerned. More people joined the hunt, but who would get the case? That night, Llewellyn checked into a new motel. For safety, he tipped the front desk extra, telling them to alert him if anyone else checked in. Llewellyn was exhausted. He wanted to rest, but felt something was wrong. He'd planned everything, so how was he found? He opened the case instinctively. One stack was $1 bills, with a tracker inside. Llewellyn understood. Then he heard noise downstairs. He called the front desk, only got a busy signal. Knowing the killer was outside, Llewellyn raised his rifle, turned off the lights. A silhouette appeared in the hallway light. The enemy was clever. He cut all the lights, leaving only deadly silence. Llewellyn jumped out the window and was shot. Seeing no one chasing, he flagged down a passing car, but the unlucky driver was shot in the head. Desperate, Llewellyn drove away. Injured as he was, he crashed the car soon after. Anton arrived and checked, thinking the target was dead, but the blood trail revealed a trap. Llewellyn fired repeatedly, but Anton escaped. Though he didn't finish him, he assumed Anton was badly hurt. With no more fighting, Llewellyn took the case to the US-Mexico border. Shot in the stomach and bleeding heavily, he needed treatment fast. Forced to, Llewellyn hid the case in nearby grass. Some young men walked over. Llewellyn bought their jacket with cash and asked for a beer. He wrapped his wound tight. Under dim light, Llewellyn pretended to be drunk and crossed into Mexico. Sometime later, Llewellyn saw a passing bandage in a daze. He handed over cash for help and survived. The next day, Llewellyn woke in hospital to a stranger. It was Carson, the famous hitman. It showed Carson was just as capable as Anton. He knew everything about Llewellyn, including his wife's location. Carson said, hand over the case, and he'd keep Llewellyn safe. Llewellyn lied he'd spent all the money, telling him to leave him alone. Carson told Llewellyn, if he could find his wife, so could Anton. If he wanted to save himself and his family, he should call. Carson was at the motel across the street. Leaving the hospital, Carson followed Llewellyn's trail, guessing the injured man hid the case. After searching, he found it in the border grass. Carson didn't take it right away. He planned to come back at night. Meanwhile, Anton's thoughts eye was badly wounded, but he dared not go to hospital. He needed supplies from a pharmacy. He punctured a car's gas tank, lit a gasoline-soaked cloth, then walked calmly into the store. The car exploded, drawing everyone outside. Amid the chaos, Anton grabbed first aid supplies. Back at his room, Anton laid plastic down. To avoid blood stains, he cleaned and disinfected his wound, then injected antibiotics. Hours later, Carson returned to his motel and sensed someone. He turned and sought Anton, realizing he'd been seen. He had to face him. The two elite hitmen spoke. Carson knew Anton's reputation. He begged for his life and revealed where the case was. Anton said he didn't care about the money. He cared the boss hired others. Carson understood. Anton would never spare him.
You do that, yeah.
The phone rang suddenly. Carson's life ended. It was Llewellyn calling. He decided to give in to Carson. When he heard Anton's voice, Llewellyn tensed up. After so long chasing, it was their first conversation. Anton told Llewellyn, bring the case, and he'd spare his family. But Llewellyn had to die. Otherwise, no one would live till morning. Llewellyn was furious. He changed his mind, vowing to fight Anton to the end. Leaving the hospital, Llewellyn tried to re-enter the U.S. in a hospital gown. Crossing into Mexico was easy, but entering the U.S. was strict. Luckily, Llewellyn got through as a veteran. He bought new clothes, then retrieved the case from the grass. To keep his wife safe, Llewellyn told her to meet him at a motel. Once she had the money and escaped, he could face the killers alone. Anton wasn't in a hurry to find Llewellyn. He first wanted to kill his employer. He reached the cartel's base. Anton shot without speaking. The powerful boss didn't react and was killed instantly. Watching the boss twitch, Anton showed no emotion. He hated unprincipled people. Why hire others after hiring him? The accountant was terrified. He begged for his life. Anton asked what he saw. The accountant said nothing. Such a spineless man met his inevitable end. Later, Anton's car broke down on the way to Llewellyn. A chicken farmer stopped to help. Always neat, Anton was polite, then killed him and stole his truck. At the same time, Llewellyn's wife worried for him. She secretly told the sheriff where they'd meet. The sheriff offered help, but it was too late. She headed to meet her husband, but other gang members spotted her. Worse, her talkative mother revealed their location. When the sheriff arrived first, other killers had already struck. They didn't find the money, but Llewellyn was killed at the motel. That night, his wife arrived at the scene. She could only cry over his body. An officer told the sheriff. No millions were found, only a few $100s on Llewellyn. The sheriff was suspicious, guessing someone took the case. Late at night, the sheriff returned to the motel. He sensed the case might still be there. Seeing the unlocked door, he guessed the killer was nearby. In fact, Anton waited behind the door, knowing he couldn't win. The sheriff hesitated, but his duty pushed him forward. The room was empty. The bathroom window was open, meaning the killer escaped. The sheriff sighed relieved, but also guilty for letting him go. He saw the vent was open. A coin lay next to the cover. It was clear. Llewellyn hid the case there again, but Anton saw through it. Months later, Llewellyn's mother-in-law died of illness. His wife lost all family. The story might seem to end, but it was just beginning. She returned home to find Anton waiting. She'd expected this, knowing it wouldn't end easily. She told Anton the case wasn't fair. She had no money. Anton said he wasn't after money. He was keeping his promise. He'd told Llewellyn if he disobeyed, no one would live. The wife grew sad. She was kind to all living things, yet this happened. Anton said her kindness didn't break his rules, but out of mercy, he let her call a coin toss to win her life. It was his final kindness. She refused firmly because the choice was still his. Anton didn't know what to do. He kept urging her. Minutes later, Anton opened the door and checked his shoes. The gesture revealed the truth. The neat killer had killed her, driving out of town. Anton obeyed traffic rules, but was hit by a reckless driver. The crash was brutal. Anton was covered in blood, his arm broken. Two boys came to help. Anton bought their jacket with cash to support his arm. He told them to forget what they saw. Before police arrived, Anton limped out of town. End of the film. The movie is called No Country for Old Men. It leaves viewers confused. Looking back, there is no real protagonist, no glamorous leads, no happy ending after struggle, no justice for the villain. Unusually, there is no background music at all. Honestly, the feeling is like a coin flip, impossible to describe fully. The film is about powerlessness. No one can escape the crush of fate.